All right, so this boss is sick. Second to last boss, you probably guessed Nexus King. You're thinking Nexus Princess. There's also some Nexus Princes on this fight. And there's a dragon. And there's a damage amp. And there's some 2-target cleave. It's kind of cool. So I'll kind of go over a little bit of it. So P1, think like Agrimar, I think is the closest way to P1, right? The boss's tank mechanic, which you'll see in a second. It has different variations of it, but basically it does 2 tank frontals and 2 group soaks. So this is the tank frontal, which most of the raid gets hit by. And then you have a soak, which you'd want to like split ideally like half your raid in, at least how the Dungeon Journal is saying it. Then you put it in the other group, and then now the other tank gets a frontal. And that's like the main tank thing of P1. It has blaze lines, which are like the claws from a dragon. Really cool animation. So you'll see that right after this goes off. Once the blaze lines go off, they leave permanent area. Well, it's not permanent in Heroic, but likely will be in Mythic. Some area denial that you have to put somewhere. It may come like disappear before P2 or something, but in P1 it'll matter. I'm sure on Mythic too there'll just be a lot more of them, so it'll just influence your movement around the room. They chose to stay central, but obviously you could probably imagine multiple ways to deal with that. But looks sick either way. This whole time, by the way, this boss has this dragon, and the dragon usually mirrors the boss abilities, not entirely in P1. And there's like these little dragons on the outside of the room that are shooting these beams. They also like melee you randomly if you go near them. So it's like kind of makes you not want to be on the edge. It's like the way the fight is doing that. So, other main mechanic I didn't mention. This boss is Denathrius. It is Sarkareth, where you start P1 with a certain amount of stacks of something. You can see Preet has 3 of them right now. You need to get rid of all 3 of these stacks before P1 ends, or you die. Or, I mean, I think technically you get MC'd, but, like, you get the point. You don't want to do that. So, how you get rid of that is you remove stacks of this debuff. So, you, like, soak this, it removes a stack. And it does raid damage when you soak it. So, you may get clever with exactly how many people you have clear when. But you get the point. Clearly, like, another very good, like, AMZ situation. There's like, AMZ is actually so fucking insane in this raid now that it's been changed. So, you have that mechanic, and then that's the bit. So you get to the end of P1. They're like turbo blasting it. You usually have to stop damage on heroic testing to like see all of P1. So they're probably going to push a little early, which is fine. What happens in P2? This is really interesting. This is not how I thought the fight was going to play out, because there's like P2 and intermission. This is like P2, but there's like an intermission, and then it does P2 again. So now this boss and Voidwing are down. Think last boss of Ruby Life Pools. You kind of want to cleave both of them, but there is going to be an important element later when it comes to that. Especially on Mythic. Like on Heroic, you could just over damage one of the boss and natty push it, but unlikely to be the case in Mythic. Okay, so the boss does a breath. Here's the main mechanic of P2. And I'm going to tell you how it changes on Mythic. Okay? As soon as P2 actually starts, you're going to... Oh, wait. Sorry. You're going to get these big... so they just pushed Coalesce Voidwing. That's him talking to his dragon. Dragon's going to spawn. All right, 4 people are going to get these massive circles. What these circles are going to do, not only is it a difficulty to spread out, but when you spawn these circles, it's going to be hard to see because Preet's not looking at them. It spawns these like little void portals, and then the boss is going to cast a tank frontal here that's a beam. Think Razageth, and it actually works exactly the same. If the tank like uses no mitigation, it's going to blow up the whole raid. So it's a tank mechanic where the tank will do damage at the end to the whole raid based on how much they mitigated or didn't mitigate it. So exactly the same as Razageth P3 beam, except there's multiple beams around the room that are going to repeat in random directions. Okay, so the boss is going to cast this tank frontal here, and they're choosing to keep it central. So you see there's a beam faced here, beam faced here, beam faced here. So watch these go off. Now these beams go off and they rotate. And they'll fucking turbo destroy you if they rotate. And they can rotate in both directions. So like, for example, Preet could have gotten absolutely... This is their first pull, so like... Not like flaming or anything, but like Preet could have gotten absolutely smoked here. He didn't even see the beam, and if it happened to go left, basically the whole raid would have gotten smoked. So that's how that works. First of all, super cool mechanic, really cool to see. You guys want to know what this thing does on Mythic? You guys see how there's 4 portals here? On Mythic, there's fucking 10 of those things. They're not as big of spreads. They're not like the circle you have to spread out with is significantly smaller. So it's not like taking up the entire room. But yeah, there's going to be 10 of those beams. Yeah, it's going to go absolutely insane. It's going to be so hard. So not going to talk too much about how you would deal with this mechanic because I think we know how to do that. But you could probably imagine a lot of different ways you've dealt with this before. So this is kind of similar to like maybe last phase of KJ. What people did there is like the entire raid didn't have to learn exactly how to live this. You just needed one person to mark or ping a safe spot, right? That was the best way to handle KJ. But then you had Zakul, Whereas the Cool had the tentacles come from the side of the room that happened like basically every 15 seconds. It was something you were constantly doing. But that was so hard that you actually couldn't realistically have one person mark a safe spot. Everyone had to like learn on their own where the safe spots would be and like how to live the mechanic. You don't know exactly how this is going to work, right? It could be either or in Mythic. It totally depends on what that mechanic looks like. I haven't seen it yet. Mythic testing hasn't happened. But yeah, this is potentially a huge wall mechanic in the fight. Very, very hard. It's either going to be, you know, there's going to be some logic to the beams, which I don't really want to talk about, or some kind of like system that people will use when you guys get to the boss. But either way, really cool mechanic, potentially really, really hard. Okay, so now you're doing like 2-target cleave. And then this is interesting. You would assume P2 would continue and then there would be an intermission going into P3, but now it does like the intermission. And what that is like typically how you deal with this is like splitting sides. And so one half of the group goes this way, one half goes the other way. Then you have some ad platforms, use your cloak, which takes you over there. And then you have to burn these guys. The Mana Titan will just explode at 100 energy. That's basically your timer here. So both groups kill this ad. Oh, they wipe here. Fuck. Let me find a better pull. Okay, this is great. So I just randomly selected like 20 minutes further. And they're in this exact phase, and it looks like they successfully do it. Okay, so they kill this. The other group, I'm assuming, kills theirs. I can't see on raid frames. Yeah, the other group's getting here. Okay, so now you just do P2 again. So it's really interesting. I think like 9 out of 10 bosses, maybe 99 out of 100, honestly, Blizzard makes. You're going to do that beam P2 phase for like 2 minutes, and then you're going to split, and then you're going to start P3. What they did this boss is they do P2 for like one mechanic set, then you go to the intermission, kill those ads, you come back and you do another minute of P2. I don't know why, but I found that to be very, very interesting. That's like really rare that they do something like that. And I wonder why they chose to do that. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's also possible in Mythic it's completely different maybe, but that's how they do that here. So basically you're just going to see P2 again, which is, these 4 things come out. They have blazes at the same time as well. These beams happened. Do you see how lucky they got with beams? Look at this. You guys remember the previous beam, right? The boss beams and literally every single one of them is facing to the outside of the platform. That is fucking, you pray for times like these. Holy shit. Just have that happen in Mythic, by the way. That'll be fucking hype. Okay, so now they start the last phase. So this was bugged, and King's Hunger will sometimes end early. It has some weird thing to do with like boss pushing and stuff like that, which won't be an issue on Mythic. But now you get a 30-second damage amp on the Void Wing. So you're going to be targeting the Void Wing here. You're going to have like, it's like a little dodge phase, right? Blazes are going out. You have to dodge while also doing dam. Also a huge healer burn. Really cool. And then whatever health this Void Wing has left will get sucked into the Nexus King. And then you're going to start the last phase. Okay, so now last phase starts. All right, this is where you're going to feel very Nexus Princessy. The boss is going to put out 2 sets of 3 orbs, which are going to orbit around the room. There are 4 orbits that you can put them on, and when they come out initially, they're going to suck you, so you want to, ideally have them like equidistant or get sucked in a position that isn't difficult. And then after that, they're going to rotate as planets, and they're going to do like these dodge mechanics, and then more planets are going to go out later. So I'll show you this at first. So they're putting it on the inner ring. Okay, so you're seeing the 3. They're putting 6 in the middle, which is they're going to get sucked right in the middle of all of them. Preheat's going through it right now. And then it does a dodge pattern, which you move away from, and then they rotate around the room doing these dodges. All right, so this basically repeats in Heroic. There's going to be a mechanic called... Oh, they die here. I wonder if they have a better pull. They have a mechanic called Star Killer Swing. At least if you see Star Killer Swing, I can explain the rest of it. So Star Killer Swing happens, and these will shoot through, not pierce, and destroy anything hit, and that's how you remove these, and then that just repeats. That's the entire phase, right? So I'm going to see... They're at the kind of the end of their testing here, but I hope they get another last pull, or another last phase pull. All right, let's see. Okay, so they do. So you see they put it on like the one ring out this time. I'll let you watch it as they come out. They kind of spread them out. Oh, they were doing some shit, but... Okay, so now the suck's going to generally happen in the middle. You're going to see these rotate, and now that they rotate, you're going to have different patterns. So what's cool about this fight is you can entirely choose what patterns you want based on where you place these, both on the suck and the Star Killer Swing. So now they're going to get Star Killer Swing, and their job is going to be, if you get picked by this, destroy as many of these as possible. All right, y'all want to talk about Mythic? On Mythic, if any of these stars run into each other, you instantly die. Star Killer Swing no longer kills these stars. They reverse their direction. So every single phase, every time this happens, you're going to add 6 more stars to the mix. and you're going to have to figure out how to kill this boss with a lot of HP in this phase. This is fucking sick. We have spent a lot of time thinking of this boss, and I already think we have... What's cool about this fight is unless they like change the speed of these or something, you already know... You can kind of like fully figure out Mythic just based on this information in the last phase, which we've had a ton of fun and we spent a lot of time doing. But yeah, it's going to be a fucking banger, and it's going to be super cool to watch too. But yeah, I think this will be really fun. My Mythic days are so far behind me / cry. Okay, so you're looking at this, but like you're not going to be most likely the first guild to kill this, right? So like, I think this will be really cool for the race, but I think for most other guilds, while it will look sick and hopefully the fight is fun to play, you're not going to get to this boss and have to figure any of this out, right? You're just going to like do exactly what a guild does that has been proven to work, and then that is your solution, right? So I don't think, like, I wouldn't look at this and be like, this is going to be impossible, because it's just there's going to be a working version of it that you'll use. But yeah, I mean, whoever made this boss fucking cooked, though.